Hello and welcome to the Tech in the Hood podcast. I'm your host, Ahmed Flex Omar. Tech in the Hood is a storytelling podcast that explores the past, present, and future of Chicago's cultural identity through conversations about community and technology. Each week, I reconnect with the friends and mentors who have shared this journey and spotlight new voices and innovators building the future of the Tech in the Hood.
Welcome back to Tech in the Hood, that show that brings you everything art, business, culture, and of course, technology. Today, we are kicking off season 3 in a very special way. For those of you that haven't tuned in, I am Martina Matthews, a Tech in the Hood veteran and a completely novice podcast host for today. So we have with me today in the studio is my dear friend Flex Omar, creator and founder and host of Tech in the Hood podcast and founder of Flex Tech AI. So Flexy, welcome back to the studio.
Yeah. I'm in the hot seat now.
You are in the hot seat. I feel really good about that.
Now I get to see the perspective of, the guest, the interviewer, and it's different. I'm not gonna lie.
I know. I'm actually in your seat.
Yeah, it's a full coupe. You're the captain now.
I'm the captain. Yes. So the introduction was a little nerve-wracking, I'll say, because I wanted to get your exact verbiage, but now we're in the clear. We're all set. So as you love to do, I want to start off this session with you sharing with our guest how we even know each other.
Oh. For the new ones, because you've been on this show multiple times.
I have,
yeah,
yes.
But for the new ones, I mean, we've known each other for decades. I'm not gonna give our age away, but feels like we grew up, together, and especially from the business side. I saw you go through your journey of getting your master's, starting a company with friends, going from Starbucks to IPO, spending
Flex,
time.
this isn't about me though.
It's fine, but I'm just saying that's how we know. It's how we know each other.
Yeah, working alongside on, I guess, in our own different worlds, but collaborating on.
Yeah,
talking shop.
No, absolutely. I mean, we've always had similar interests, music, fashion,
dancing,
tech. And so whatever you're doing, I support, and whatever I'm doing, you've always, been there. So, and you're part of this journey too. So thank you for being a co-pilot.
Yes. All right. Well, here we are. I think we have heard from previous guests and people that have tuned in. I guess people actually didn't realize you were the creator of this podcast.
Oh, that was so funny. But it was by design, too, because you don't want to build a brand and then come off as a narcissist. It was just me talking, all the time. I wanted to focus on adding value, to my guests. So even the reels that we edited for first and second seasons, I was barely, in it. So a friend of mine made a comment, after I posted one of my reels and said, "Oh, this is your podcast?" I thought that was funny. But the whole thing and the whole mission of Tech in the Hood was to use it to build, community, and also to tell, my story. And you can't tell a story without supporting, cast.
Yeah. And you've had great guests along the way.
Absolutely.
I think even for me, seeing the intersection of art more into the business and tech space was new for me. So I love that. And so many of your guests have made connections with each other, which is kind of like the best outcome of this.
Absolutely. Community building, friendships were developed, people worked on projects together, and then, we're just demystifying what, tech is, so there's health tech, there's ed tech, there's fintech, there's so many ways, you can be, involved in tech. But for me, I wanted to focus on the humans behind the tech, some big on storytelling. I've been doing storytelling for a long time, and
Yeah.
it just it was just the perfect time. I mean, I've had the brand for a long time, Tech in the Hood. And obviously the inspiration is Boys in the Hood. So, and for the domain to even be available, that was a sign from God. And you just, when you get that sign from God and you got faith, you
have to run with it.
You just gotta run with it, or as I say, you gotta flex.
I mean, obviously, I love that for you. Yes, always flexing. That's definitely you. But okay, so on the human side of it,
yeah,
obviously, it's been a success. It's grown. The
Absolutely.
guests are amazing.
Yeah.
All of that is wonderful. Starting out, like, how was it? Just even deciding to do your very first podcast and then actually doing it. What was that? What was that like?
So it's one of those things where it's like, as long as you are focused on the end user, and just like, when I'm creating a new business, I built a customer archetype. And so as long as I'm adding value to that individual, then, I just let time do its thing. And as long as it's authentic content and people feel like they're listening to you, as if they're sitting with you on their couch, so, and just, getting feedback and, asking people, questions. So even before I started the podcast, for a couple of years, I was just asking people, questions about, tech and so on. Mm-hmm. And I've been in tech since I was 16 years old, so sometimes we...
And again, we're not giving ages. So
yeah,
for all we know, that was 5 years ago.
I'm an elder millennial. That's what I go back, Don't have the cane to prove it, but it's fine.
It's fine.
But yeah, I mean, sometimes we forget that we speak a completely different, language. Yeah. And so when you're talking to people that are not in tech, people just look at you funny, right, and say, what's a SaaS?
Right.
Software as a service, Salesforce. It's like,
so not just being sassy.
That, yeah, exactly.
Which you
it's
are flexy, sassy for sure.
Hey, it's great for my SEO, as I always say. People Google me, they find me.
I believe it. Yes. Yep. Okay, so great, of course, expert in this space, always storytelling, always talking with people. Were you nervous though to actually make it an official podcast, like actually sitting down, and were you ever nervous, like, oh shoot, I hope I have more than one listener?
Yeah, it's okay to be nervous. I learned a long time ago from a professor of mine at Loyola, and he was an adjunct. He was working for IBM, and I think it was management. I think it was focused more on management consulting. And so he would bring in like real life, cases. And then part of our final project was to go speak, to C-suite executives and so on. And one of the things that he said that stuck with me is, it's okay to be paranoid. It's okay to be nervous, because if you're paranoid, if you're nervous, then you are aware.
Yeah.
And so, of course, I'm nervous every time I start a new project. Talk to any top athlete, and they'll tell you, yeah, we're nervous before going any game, because one mistake, can cost you, right?
Right.
But you can't let that go to your head. But the other thing too is it all comes down to working with people, and got a great setup, So at the time also at a marketing and media agency, own a media, so whatever thoughts and assumptions, I had in my head, I would just put it on paper. So that's the key. You just got to get it out of your head, put it on paper. And then, sometimes, some assumptions are validated, some are not. And then even when I was going through kind of like the show notes of each episode and like how we're gonna do the intro, and the outro, I said I want this to be a love letter to Chicago and what Chicago means to me.
Oh, well, you can't go wrong with that.
No, not at all. You know, it's because you hear tech, you know, you don't hear Chicago, you hear Silicon Valley, you hear, you know, even in New York. But I wanted to make sure that people knew that, hey, there's great innovation comes out of, you know, Chicago, and that's why I did the first episode 0, and what is tech in the hood. So when you Google tech in the hood, that's the first thing that comes out. It's like, what is, you know, tech in the hood? And I talked about who the audience is and who I'm targeting, and I was, you know, very specific, and it worked because we have the right people that supported us along the way, and then also got an amazing studio setup. I don't have to worry about, you know, what, you know, the lighting, you know, the mic, the cameras, you know, so
it's all taken care of.
Yeah, the Chicago Podcasting Studio. They're
they are amazing.
They own it, you know. So that's if you have great people, and then anytime I start a new project, a new business, I go back, you know, to my support system. I talk to you, I talk to Bashir, and you all became, you know, guests on the show. Matter of fact, it was funny because Bashir thought we were just going for lunch. So when he
oh my gosh, you tricked him?
I didn't trick him. He wasn't.
I don't know
he wasn't
if I
listening.
That because you didn't even tell me this was recorded when I came for my first appearance. So I'm starting to see how you reel us in. Actually,
it's a prank.
It's fine.
It's a prank.
It's fine. It's okay. Well, here we are. You got us all here.
I got y'all good. Yeah, Bashir was like, oh man, I didn't know we had all these cameras. I didn't know it's gonna be a studio, and you know. And I was like, Bashir, just chill. He's like, all right, bro. You know, next time I gotta get my fade. I gotta get my haircut. You know. And then I played.
Bashir, I didn't know he was gonna put you on blast like this.
It's fine. Played the video to the executive director of the West Side Health Authority, Morris Reed, and as he was listening to Bashir, he was like, Bashir, you got a great radio voice, brother. Bashir was like, oh, I do? so after that, Bashir was like, oh, when I'm going to be on next. I'm like, oh, now you want to be on the podcast all the time? No, Bashir was basically my first friend in Chicago, and then became, you know, my boss. So he's like an, you know, older, you know, brother, right? And for me to help him start his company, Netelligence, in like the 2000s, right after the .com, you know, bust, and you know, and doing all the great work that we've done, and now continuing that journey with Flex Tech and you know, tech in the hood. It's just a blessing. So it's for me, it's always about, you know, my network and my relationships, and so I'm nervous. I'm, you know, paranoid. You know, because I'm a human being. But then I just go back to my strength, which is my network.
Yeah, like you said, writing it down and then reaching out to your support group. I think that's everything, because I get nervous all the time, or it's like that feeling of anxiety before you jump into a new project. But you just do it, and then everything is fine, because we are all human, and when you're teamed up with great people, everybody's working together for success. No,
absolutely. And a lot of people reach out to me and, you know, ask me for help, you know, whether especially entrepreneurs. And first thing they say is, oh, you got to sign this NDA. And I'm like, yeah, I really don't want to sign the NDA, you know, because I advise so many people that are in different industries and businesses. I'm also a consultant, right? But if you just want to ask me questions without you thinking that I'm going to, because I don't have the energy to go steal somebody else. And that's not me. That's not, you know,
that's definitely not
who I am. But a lot of, you know, entrepreneurs sort of like work in silos and like keep stuff, you know, in their heads or just in their documents, and don't get that, you know, feedback. The sooner, you know, you get that feedback, and even if it's a no, it's fine. Rejections are fine. You know, if you fail, it's fine. So you just got to have an athlete's mindset when you're doing entrepreneurship. Okay,
so what's the biggest fumble that comes to mind over just getting this going? Maybe it wasn't a fumble, but just a challenge.
The podcast. One of the challenges was like figuring out like what social media, you know, platform should we put our, you know, energy and Instagram worked out, great. And then again, that was a great recommendation from Ona and the team over there. And then LinkedIn, because I have a decent following, on LinkedIn.
If you're not following him, that was a plug. That was a subtle plug to follow.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, Instagram has been, great, to us, and LinkedIn too. So because you can't focus on every single platform, it just takes a lot of work, takes a lot of, energy, and also consistency. That's key, so you got to be in a state of flow.
Yeah.
Right. And so Instagram and LinkedIn, but that was a challenge in the beginning to go, oh man, what about Twitter? But then Twitter's got its own problems with Elon, and all of a sudden it's like X, and I don't
a movement.
I don't have to
over there.
Yeah, I don't have time to figure out like where Elon's heading. I know he's on some spaceship. I know X is going to turn into something, but I don't know.
So you're not investing your time there right now.
Yeah.
Okay. So what was your biggest win over getting this going so far?
The biggest triumph, honestly, it's the feedback that I get from young people, especially women and in their early 30s, late 20s.
Right around your age.
Right. Totally. Absolutely. Absolutely. And the best feedback, that you can get is, hey, I listen to your podcast when I'm working. It's always there in the background, and I'm always collecting, gems, and I go back and listen, to it again.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I think that's also just a good piece of, I don't know if it's advice or just a tip for people who feel like they don't have time to listen to podcasts. Sometimes just having it on in the background while you're working or doing whatever, and then replaying it. Replaying it is totally fine.
Yeah, I do that too. I listen to my own podcast when I'm working out because I learned so much, from the guests.
Bass beats in the background.
Bass beats.
Listen to it during my workout, but
little Tiesto. Yeah, depends on the workout. If I'm doing high intensity intervals, I gotta switch that house music. But like days when you're doing like active recovery, also listening to the podcast, and I'm big on micro learning, so I'm always looking for areas and clips and reels that I can extract.
Yeah.
But then there's always something that the guest said or I said, and I want to follow up with that individual, and I'm like, hey, so with Bashir, he talked about the Aspire Center in his interview, and I was like, oh man. I texted him.
Because that was the first time you had even become aware of the Aspire Center. I did not know
about the Aspire Center, even though we talk all the time. I did not know that Westside Health Authority, an organization that I worked for, in Bashir, is now building a innovation center on the west side of Chicago, and they're getting investment to the tune of $41 million, dollars. Tech in the hood, let's go.
Yeah.
And we were there the next week, and I talked about my new company, Flex Tech AI, my vision for applied intelligence, and the executive director Morris, who I've also known for a long time. I was like, yeah, let's keep talking, But then you have to show up, and you have to follow up.
Yes.
And you have to be consistent, and you just got to show up how you're going to add value. But business at the end of the day, too, is about people and how you connect and how you relate to people.
Yeah.
So I made sure that even though I had a great relationship with the executive director, also Bashir, I met other folks that were at with WHA, and I spent hours. I mean, I've spent hours in the summer when I could be doing other things, just getting to know the folks that work there now. And I didn't come in with a sense of entitlement, even though I've worked there a long time ago. I wanted to make sure that adding value. So I'm really big on human, centered design, principles, right? I talk about it, a lot because at the end of the day, it's all about, the human being.
Okay. So what spoilers can you share with us for this upcoming season?
Oh, so I bring back Sean Michael Warren, your artist. We
Love
just
that.
had the Oprah unveiling in December.
That was a big, once in a lifetime experience.
Yeah.
You absolutely need to share more about that.
Oh, I wanted to bring the Cubs flag, the fly to W, to the event because that was a big win. It was a big win for Sean. It was a big win for our team. It was a big win for Chicago. So,
and I think for maybe new listeners or people who weren't able to tune in to Sean's story, do you want to give the?
Yeah, because I want them to also listen to the interview. Just tell them,
teasers then.
Yeah, now he's Mr. Worldwide. They can just Google him. Just Google Sean Michael Warren.
Google him. Check out his story on Tech in the Hood, season 2.
Youngest African American to be commissioned by the Smithsonian's Portrait Gallery. Yeah, and
his
it's
portrait
historic.
Was of
Oprah
the one
Winfrey,
and only.
the one and only, the Queen. So that was a great experience, for me, and knowing about this, for 3 years, and then the whole world finding out, and it was just
the unveiling must have just felt like magic.
Yeah, you just Ava DuVernay is there. You're just like, hey, Ava, yeah, things are cool. Yeah, things are cool.
and on the inside, you're like jumping up and down, like
it's Ava. So, but it's not. It's the second time I met her now.
Fine.
Yeah, but that's definitely a great experience. And then just also the way she treated Sean and myself and Sean's family, her generosity, and just watching her and how she interacts with people. You just learn so much.
Yeah.
And I am so happy for him, and there's more to come. He's only 36. Just getting started.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, so looking forward to welcoming back Sean. Do we have anybody else lined up that you can share, or any themes, any sound bites we can have, or you're just gonna hold it close to heart?
I'll let y'all find out. But here's the thing, it's I keep it simple. I keep it about the ABCs, which is art, business, culture, and then I add the tech as a catalyst, to boost that.
All right. Well, we got a great season 3 coming ahead. Mm-hmm. Okay, so in addition to the Oprah unveiling, you also had an opportunity to speak at a few panels. I was so honored to be able to sit beside you on a couple of them as well. So I think Chicago Tech Week was a great experience.
Absolutely.
One of your favorite topics.
Future of work.
I'm
all about that life. Future of work.
Yeah. What did you think? How did you think that event went?
It was cool. It was nice to network with people in the tech field, and AI and Gen AI is a big topic right now, and gave us an opportunity to also talk about the Aspire Center. But I think it's like the second or third year. I can't remember for Tech Week Chicago. So to me, that was just an opportunity to also build a relationship with the folks at P33 that run it, and they were great. And so this year we'll do it bigger.
Yeah, I think everyone on the panel was able to learn from each other too, which was great. So you have the intersection of government and tech.
I'm waiting for you to drop a course on customer journeys.
And customer journeys, because we actually did talk quite a bit about that, and human-centered design.
Absolutely.
Because it is all about the people.
It's all about the people. I think that's where
we vibe.
Yeah,
to a T.
Technology should give us, a boost. Technology, the way I see it, is a net job creator. Even doing what we're doing right now, and podcasting. You don't really need to be in a studio if you wanted to. You could, do it from home. Use Zoom. So just to get started. I've been doing this, for a while, and I was just doing audio recordings. So it doesn't necessarily have to be, video.
Right. That just adds the extra nervous energy for all of us.
You could record on your you could record on your iPad.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
anywhere.
The key is just to do it.
Just do it.
Yeah, and don't stress about it. And when you're in that creative mode, you're gonna feel lonely, and then after a while, you're gonna tell yourself, hey, let's see just what happens.
Yep.
And then and if it doesn't work out, then it is what it is. It's funny. We did a series of talks with a friend of mine, Dr. Dominic Gaziano. He was on the podcast. He's our health expert.
Yes.
For Tech in the Hood. And Dr. Dominic and I will host events. This is pre-pandemic, but and they were basically happy hours, and we would bring different doctors. And one was like an infectious disease doctor, and he had this presentation about Ebola and all that. But it was really funny, So and people are like, "What kind of happy hour?"
I know, that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, I think I missed that.
Super confused. And then the next one was a plastic surgeon. I'm like, "Ooh, plastic surgeon, this is interesting." And then the plastic surgeon goes, "Oh, make sure you eat your veggies and make sure you eat these kind of superfoods and so on. That's gonna make you look more beautiful. Your skin's gonna glow." And in previous events, people would make fun of me because we'd bring all these vegetables, and they're like, "Oh, here comes the edible."
So now they're like
edible
looking for
urges.
the
No, they ran.
I mean, hey.
They ran. But so you never know.
You never know.
And then when the pandemic, happened, I saw that people were watching those videos on YouTube.
Yeah.
And they were getting, more traction, so you don't know.
Yeah.
But just be true to yourself and be authentic, and just put, good content that you feel good about.
Yep.
And then let the universe, do
what it's gonna do.
Exactly. You can't control everything. Let it go.
You can't control. Yep. Yeah, you can't control. I'm just thinking, I co-host quite a few virtual webinars, and it's definitely a different experience when you're physically in the same room as someone else, or even some of the audio only recordings. You kind of miss some of the subtle, facial expressions, or I know I move my eyes around a lot. So, there's just little things that I think also help you connect to the person where they're like, oh my gosh, they're human right now. Oh, she just said or she's nervous on this, or this is their little habit. Or that's
maybe
their smile.
Next time we'll do it on the Oculus. Now, seeing your avatar nervous, that's something different.
Yeah, I wonder. We'll see. Stay tuned.
Or you could be whatever you want in the metaverse.
Yeah,
so.
This is true. Okay, so diving into some of the new. Well, I guess there was one more panel I think is definitely worth shouting out.
World Business Chicago. Yeah, that was a big flex.
That was a great event.
Yeah.
That was really well
at
put
University
together.
of Chicago. What a team. And the sponsors, Verizon, Meta, Amazon. Such a great event, and then to have all those small businesses in the room, networking, and you were the star of the show.
No, stop. We had a lovely panel.
You were the star.
We had a lovely panel, and really we touched on everything from marketing specific, business specific. Just it was all about small business transformations and how do we leverage technology.
Absolutely.
And every person who uses technology in any way, shape, or form, I think, has something to contribute or learn from those conversations.
Yeah. And there's always an element of fear anytime a new technology is introduced. And with AI, people are worried about, jobs being gone. Yeah, some jobs are gonna go away. That happens all the time.
Yes. Okay, well, let's pause there because I
Okay.
know you have really strong feelings and perspective on just AI, those two letters, and them meaning either artificial intelligence versus
Applied intelligence.
drum roll. There you go, applied intelligence. So why don't you go ahead? I mean, that's something that's really you hone in on often.
Yeah.
So what's the difference?
So if you look at it as a formula, applied intelligence equals human intelligence plus artificial intelligence. Boom. Yeah, maybe I'll get that on a t-shirt.
Boom, that's it. Why don't you go ahead and say that one more time? Maybe look straight into a camera so we can get that.
Applied intelligence equals human intelligence plus artificial intelligence. Yes, time to drop that merch.
There you go.
People have been asking about Tech in the Hood merch.
Well, maybe it'll roll out.
You got to.
Just one more thing.
Give the people what they want.
Give the people what they want. Yes.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. Again, it's all about the end user, the customer. So as long as you're keeping your customer happy, you're gonna be in business.
Yeah.
So a lot of people start, a project, and it's cool to be called an entrepreneur, but at the end of the day, you want to make money, you want to do well, you gotta
engage
be
your
a
customers.
business owner. It's a business.
Yeah. Okay. So we think about AI, both of your definitions. Like, how are we? What are the ways you're seeing now that we can leverage AI for efficiencies? And yes, we've talked about this probably in every episode, but if anybody's following AI closely, one day to the next, there's a new something to know.
So you were a computer science major, so you know the old term garbage in, garbage out, right? So if you don't have the skills needed as a professional, and you're not gonna get what you think you're getting out of ChatGPT or any other tool. So it's important to also train yourself. It's important for you to take time to read books, get
or even articles
courses,
and
articles,
short podcasts. I mean, some of this is, I think it can seem very daunting to some folks. I mean, I have friends in my peer group, professionals as well, who were so nervous to take that step to even creating a ChatGPT account because that seemed like, oh, how would this help me? Why would I do this? Oh, it's too techy. Yeah. I'm not really in tech per se, but it's like, no, actually just create the account. Create the account and give me 5 minutes and we're just going to talk to it. And I'm going to show you literally how this can help you.
For sure.
I mean, I think one of the simplest things is I'm an overthinker, especially with writing emails. Sometimes you know exactly what you want to say. And if you can just, I don't know, this is such a terrible word, but it is the word to use, like word vomit it out into ChatGPT. Right. It's fine. And just say like, hey, I'm trying to say this and I want it to be in this tone.
Yeah.
Give me 3 variations.
Absolutely.
And it can help you just really inspire, okay, this is how I want to write it. Or, oh, actually, this is a way to format it that I didn't realize, but I like it better.
It's your assistant.
It's your assistant. It's your peer. It's your virtual colleague. So leverage it. So instead of sitting there rereading an email, and I swear I could sit at the same email and look at it for 4 hours, like, especially if it was being sent to somebody that, I don't know, maybe I was trying to propose a new project or something that I was really anxious about. So now it's like, maybe I'm overthinking it, but it's like 5 to 10 minutes of reworking it, if that. And the more you can play with the technology, you start to get a feel for it. You see the other third party apps
and you can train it.
You can use your own writing samples to train it.
Absolutely.
So it really is trying to
so it
craft
understands
in your
your
voice.
tone. Absolutely.
Tone, language you use.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's one of my favorite uses.
I wish I had it
one
when
of my
I
intro
graduated.
uses of ChatGPT.
I would have been more confident, at work. So when I first started working in accounting, there were barely any people that looked like me or people that
Fabulous.
were yeah. Got the Flex mantra. And then also I came from a smaller school. You know, a lot of my colleagues, you know, went to Big Ten schools. Culture, you know, is different. It's all about, you know, football and, you know, those games. And I was a city kid, you know, city school. If I had ChatGPT back then, I'm just asking some questions. Hey, you know, what can I do to break the ice here? Or like, what does that even mean? And I'm also, you know, an immigrant. So at that time, when I got my first gig, I think this was a Union Bank of Switzerland. I did an internship with a gentleman named Mike Green, and he was a great boss. And
good job, Mike Green.
Mike Green's awesome, you know. So it showed me the world of Swiss banking and wealth, you know, management, and you know, he'd send me to lunches and to meet with folks that were, you know, running like mutual funds and so on. And I'm like, oh yeah, you're Mike Green's guy. And then when I get back from, you know, the lunch, you know, he was like, hey, did you get a chance, you know, to analyze it? And I was like, oh, you want me to? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. So Morningstar was my GPT. so I went, shout out to Morningstar, you know, and they had all the data on the different, you know, funds and so on. And then I used that, and then Mike Green will come back and say, hey, do you recommend this for our clients? And for him to trust me, you know, in that way, was just, you know, incredible. And UBS just had so many, you know, resources. We had a proprietary software where you can, you know, put in the data, you know, information about the client, you know, the individual, and then it will basically, you know, spit out recommendations on what and how you should divide up, you know, the portfolio, right, based on risk, you know, the age of the, you know, that client and so on. So AI and software and so on has been around, you know, for a hot minute. You know, right now I don't want to freak out the people in the studio, but if I say, Alexa, turn off the lights, is it going to turn off the lights? No, it didn't.
Thank goodness. That would have been quite the surprise. I see you side-eyeing the production team. That was unscripted for sure.
Yeah, they ain't got Alexa. But, you know, people got so comfortable with Alexa.
Change background color pink.
Right,
Alexa.
AI is not AI is not new. It's been around for a while, and some of the workshops that I do for clients with FlexTech AI is just lunch and learns.
Yeah.
Hey, let's talk about this, and I do facts, you know, versus, you know, myths, and, you know, just have fun. Mm-hmm. Just gotta have fun with it, and honestly, I think that's why people enjoy this show too, is because, you know, we provide information in layman's terms, right. And then we just tell people to go down the rabbit hole and explore.
Yep. Okay. So my plug was for using this as your email copy assistant. What is maybe one of your go-to uses for ChatGPT?
For ChatGPT, role playing. So let's say I have a meeting, you know, with a potential, you know, client. So I train, you know, the ChatGPT to pretend that they're that client, and I'm just having conversations, you know. So, and it's awesome.
Yeah, so I mean, you can literally ask or type into ChatGPT like.
Pretend you are the CEO of company, whatever. Pretend you are
the CEO of this tech company that's focused on this. Mm-hmm. I am hoping to have a conversation related to this feature or this project or this something. Outline 3 to 5 questions or outline a 15-minute conversation where we can discuss this, or I'm going after this. Discovery questions, whether it's a new project or you're interviewing for a new role. I think that's something that every single person out there could really take advantage of, and maybe don't know that it does that.
It boosts your confidence, right? Mm-hmm. So when you walk in, people are not, they're going to look at your posture. They're going to look at, how you show up, because so if you're not worried about,
Yeah.
oh, what should I be asking and what should I be doing? Well, you did all the homework.
It's just prep, right?
It's just prep.
It's just prep because, as you say, we're all human. We might fumble over words. We might be nervous at different points. But as long as you actually did the prep, thought through some of these questions that might come up, and have the talking points, or, hey, what are things that we need to just have as considerations?
Yeah. And here's a flex hack.
Did you say flex hack?
Yeah, I said flex hack.
Hack. Here we go. The flex hack.
You can ask the GPT, quote from an industry, expert, and that's someone in their industry.
Yeah.
So then they're gonna, feel comfortable and say, oh, so and so. I'm like, no, I just did a little research. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
and you can see like their whole energy, shift, because now you're not a stranger.
Right. You can even say, hey, list out 25 quotes from 25 different industry leaders and find the one that really connects to you.
Yeah.
To do that without ChatGPT would take so much more time.
Oh, it's hard.
But those are the hacks. Okay, that's the official flex hack.
Yeah,
I'll give you credit there. But I think those are some cool little nuggets for people to try, or maybe didn't realize was,
because sales is key to life, because at the end of the day we're all selling something,
right?
And
I mean, you could talk to it even about the business you're trying. If you're an entrepreneur, whatever your business is, and you're trying to create that business plan or figure out who is my right target audience, you could literally just talk to ChatGPT and just work off the conversation. And I think for those folks that are nervous about how do I talk to ChatGPT, you just type in like a regular person. I think that's what's really cool about it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I was talking about customer archetypes, and I'm really, before it would take me a while to do the research, to build my customer archetypes. Now I can just go to ChatGPT and say, hey, this is what I'm working on, and this is the kind of, customer archetype that I'm looking at. I'll spit it out. But does that mean that, I'm just gonna take what GPT gives me verbatim?
Right. No. I definitely don't recommend just the full copy and paste over. Yeah. But we're prompting ChatGPT and it's prompting us back. I think it just helps speed up or inspire what we're actually trying to do.
Yeah, and absolutely. And then we also build our own bots at Flex Tech. So and if you're a company, you also have to be careful how much you put out there, and like different bots that you don't own that are not just for cybersecurity, issues, because you don't want somebody stealing, your data, too. So got to be careful.
Any thoughts on some of the other programs that are out there, like Microsoft Copilot? I know is one that we've spoken about.
Microsoft just invested in OpenAI. And that's the future, AI powered, search, so instead of like figuring out what exactly you're going to get out of, Google, and Google's also moved in that direction, especially with the new Samsung, phone. You can just circle something and it's in collaboration with Google, and they'll bring up, the search item and so on.
So wild.
But Microsoft Copilot is awesome because the files that are on your computer can now be taken by AI, and you can give the AI a prompt and say, hey, I need you to put together a PowerPoint, presentation. And basically they'll turn that Word doc into a PowerPoint. Yeah, how many hours?
The other efficiency hack to make note of. Oh my gosh, I don't know how long I would sit with making presentations. Yeah. Too long, like way too long.
Way too long. So it gives you back, time that you could be more human. So again, that's the applied intelligence.
Okay, so going back to one of your comments earlier around kind of jobs being taken by AI, right? So, I mean, even the hacks that we've talked about are now touching. Interview coaching and copywriting and editing.
Yeah, exactly. I'll give you an example.
And presentation making. So,
I'll give you an example. I mean, a friend of mine, he's in real estate, and he had a young lady work for him to do the copywriting, for his marketing materials, for his real estate properties that, that they're listing and so on. And first thought, it was like, oh, I can do that now with ChatGPT. Like, you could, but you're not a marketing expert. She's the marketing expert, but ChatGPT can help you save time by typing up what you need, from her. So you minimize the back and forth, and both of you can be more, efficient. So the key is not to replace the human being. The key is to augment, what the human being, is doing, and making them, more efficient at what they do. So instead of spending 60 hours or 70 hours a week at work, bring it back to 40. And you know what? If you can get, you can meet your KPIs in 30 hours, then why do you need to work? Why do you need to work 60, 70 hours?
Right. Right. And I think everyone also has like a backlog or a passion project that's just a lower priority. If we have free up this space, you can work on those, or you have time actually to continue to learn, whether it's on AI or other maybe just more role specific skills that you're looking for. But there's the time there. So now you just become an even more higher powered employee. Like you just do more in less time.
Yeah.
The whole work smarter, not harder. It's that.
That's what it's all about. And mental health is key. I recently was speaking at an MBA class at Loyola University, my alma mater, and towards the end, they asked, what piece of advice can you give? And I said, focus on your mental health, because that's not talked about, enough. I've adopted yoga into my daily, routine.
I'm sorry, I did not know that. And for everybody's knowledge, we're neighbors. So, we live actually in the same neighborhood in Chicago. So, okay, I kind of love this. I'm kind of like taken aback. Can we just do some yoga sessions together? Maybe that could be an upcoming podcast. We'll do like yoga and meditation with Tech in the Hood.
Yeah, maybe we'll do a Tech in the Hood yoga sesh.
I love this.
Yeah,
okay,
it's perfect.
Great. Okay.
Yeah, all right. We'll do a community outing. Maybe like yoga and brunch.
I love it. I love it. And we can talk tech too.
Absolutely.
This is great. All right, this is like new ideas, guys. We're just it's happening.
But yoga, just relaxes me, and I focus on doing it in the morning. And you just get your mind right and include it in your morning routine. But it's also helped me even with like strength training and working out. I've seen my workouts improve, and just my mood. I'm just much more happier when I meditate. Also listening to Dr. Huberman, Andrew Huberman. He's got a great podcast called the Huberman Lab, and something that he brought up was Yoga Nidra. And I've never heard of Yoga Nidra, and I tried it last week, and it's incredible. So you gotta look that up. So it's basically a yoga nap. It's a guided meditation, and I just felt like I was low in energy, because I was in one Zoom call after another Zoom call after another Zoom call. Yes. And then I'm like, I need to take a break. And I was like, yoga nidra, let me try that. And it just gave me that boost.
How long of a?
I did the 10-minute one, but you could do it.
And you could feel it.
You could do it for you feel the difference, because what it's doing, it's calming your nervous system, down, right? Yeah. Because you got all this highway that's interconnected, to your brain, and you're shooting off neurons and so on, So my iPad, my computer, I got to turn it off or it overheats, So your Tesla, you got to go charge it, So plugged into charge.
Well, I mean, that's good to know. And hey, if it's a 10-minute recharge, I think many of us have experienced the back-to-back Zooms. And I mean,
Zoom fatigue is a thing.
I had a day earlier this week where I had 9 back-to-back Zooms.
That's brutal.
With all different people, some redundancy. And it was all exciting conversations. And it was until I ended the last one, I just felt myself take like a big sigh of like, oh my gosh, what just happened? I am actually exhausted right now. And my cheeks were hurting because I'm like a big smiler. So I was like, need a face massage on my little face roller.
There you go.
Yeah, but I think, mental health piece and taking that time for ourselves is so important. And with you mentioning just physically feeling better and being happier in your thoughts, would you say you also notice a difference then in your productivity or your creativity when it comes to work stuff?
Absolutely. I can get things done a lot quicker when I'm, more relaxed. And, the Zoom meetings are just the consequences of the pandemic. We don't need to be in back-to-back, Zooms. That's not healthy. And so, and I also keep the Zooms, shorter. Like we don't have to meet for an hour. You can meet for, 15 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever it is.
Have the agenda ready.
Yep.
Tick through what you need the other people for and then move on.
Yeah. It's all in the prep, but I do that when I'm relaxed.
Yes.
But
I agree.
Yeah. And you're not thinking, that way. You're not, because you're not being efficient. So
I think even kind of in my early days,
and bio breaks.
Bio breaks, yes, important.
Another term. Like I gotta use the restroom between.
Yes, this is true. With the back-to-back, sometimes it's like, I just need a minute to refill my water.
Yeah. Y'all heard about hydration?
Yeah, I would like to have that. Yeah, no, I think that's something that took me years to actually realize how important it is. I was definitely someone that was like, okay, I have more to do. I'm tired and I feel my brain working more slowly, but I'm going to have some caffeine and just keep going as long as I can, because the longer the day I can get more done. But it's actually not the case. And I mean, even last night there was more I wanted to do for work, but I could tell I was already exhausted. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to go to bed and wake up a little earlier, because I know I can get this done in 10 minutes if I'm fresh. If I try and sit down to do this right now, it's going to take me 45 minutes. I'm not going to love it. I'm going to be halfway distracted with whatever I'm now putting on the TV just to help keep me awake to have in the background. It's a mess.
Just enjoy Bridgerton.
It's a mess. Actually, I'm watching Suits for the first time. I kind of have a crush on Harvey, if anybody's familiar with it. Also a soft spot for Louis Litt.
You're late in the game.
I know, I am late, but I'm like season 6.
It's fine.
So
it's fine.
Just sending some random love to Harvey and Litt and all other cast members.
Louis is my guy. He's a character.
I know, he's the other guy.
He's a character.
Yeah, it's fine. You just got lit. Like
you just got lit up.
You kind of need like that flex statement, right? Like, I'm gonna flex on you. Like you have to, you're like, I mean, you're not like lit, but
no.
Okay. Anyways, sidetrack there. Sorry.
It's all right.
But yeah, so mental health. I don't know if you've always made time for it yourself, or if it's just something you're really prioritizing. Now, especially being in not-for-profit for 7 years and dealing with community service too during the pandemic and trying to help as many people as possible. You forget yourself, and in the process. And I just needed to focus, on me and my health. And by doing that, I'm actually be able to give back more. So it's amazing how that. Because you're recharged.
Works. I'm recharged, exactly like Tesla charging station. Although in the media right now, because of winter in Chicago, Tesla charging stations are not the best example. So, but people know what I mean.
Yeah, we get it.
Get your battery pack.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned meditation, and I mean. And yoga. And I think the reality is some people just roll their eyes at this. They're like, okay, yeah, yoga, meditation. But I think really it is, what is it for yourself that you find relaxing? And sometimes it is socializing with friends and just not being so focused on a work project. But I think in all of these instances, you do recharge, you do have new ideas. You're kind of ready to tackle the day.
Absolutely. And As long as I'm able to accomplish one major task, I'm good.
Yeah.
The rest are a bonus.
Yeah.
And then, but when you think like that and you wire your brain, that way, it removes stress and anxiety, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm on task number 6.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's your prep for yourself for the week. What am I looking to accomplish? What can I commit to? And then when you share those commitments with whoever, everybody's on the same page. Like, oh, hey, I can absolutely work on that. Let's schedule time for next week to follow up. If something is more urgent, then like that will be kind of the next part of the conversation, and you can reprioritize your to-dos.
Mm-hmm. No,
always fitting in your me time.
Absolutely. Sundays are a great day to kind of like prioritize what I want to get out of each day during the week, and then during the week I just focus on that. And it's also good at the end of the day to kind of like audit things, and even if it's like 15 20 minutes, and reflect and see, oh, I did this, I did this. It makes you feel good about yourself, and then plan again. Maybe you need to shift things around because things change. So it's important to be agile. It's important to be flexible.
Flexible. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Okay,
but,
so
it's all about the reels. For reals.
Well, you mentioned how this was harder for you in your non-for-profit days. So you've had quite the journey from non-for-profit to
and that was a total
for-profit.
passion. That was a total passion project when I started my own non-for-profit. I had no intention on like scaling it and so on. Came out of pure frustration because at the time, all I heard in the media was about Muslims this, Muslims that, and terrorism was on the rise, and it's just like, and then it was not after 9/11. There was so many kids that were getting bullied, and some of the kids that I was mentoring in college would tell me horrific stories that their teachers were bullying them, and so being a genocide survivor, myself, and experiencing war, I got to do something, about this. And I was inspired by Humans of New York. And I was like, oh, this is great, and because of Facebook, you can see the comments and how people are connecting with it. They're seeing a human being. They're seeing an individual. They're going past the labels, the stereotypes. And so I said, I'm going to do this. And it really just started with one PDF and where I'm trying to accomplish. And old school, told people to send me essays.
No, it's fine.
I mean, who does essays in 2015? Well, they didn't have ChatGPT back then.
I know.
They wish they did. And God bless some of the young women that worked with us. They helped us edit, and they gave it sort of like back then Huffington Post, HuffPost was the thing. Yeah. So I would just post them on Facebook. Yeah. And I waited for about 2 years before we even finished our website, because I wanted to get those data analytics, from Facebook, because I wasn't going to get that from the back end of my website, but I could look at the engagement and so on, and then I used that data to fundraise, and I looked for companies that had nothing to do with Muslims or art, or culture, and I landed on fintech companies. So shout out, to Holly and InvestNet and PayPal and Fidelity, investments, and all these companies also have charitable, wings, but most non-for-profits don't reach out to them. They tend to reach out to companies like Coca-Cola, Pepsi, those, brand names with it. And what I focused on was just, hey, just give me small checks. And having the accounting background, I made sure that our costs were low, and we're a digital heritage, organization. And so we adopted Slack when Slack was still, new. We had interns all over the country. That's where I ran, our volunteers. So I was running the non-for-profit as a social enterprise, as a tech company, and My tech friends were so supportive, and it was for me, it was a business. I controlled the cost, and and because the less cost that I had, the less time I spent on seeking donations, the more time I had, for to do programming, work that mattered, and I just focused on community building, and it's one of those things that you build and it just takes a life on its own. Some of the biggest, one of the biggest, triumphs was having, U.S. Veterans and, people that, were even serving, the time come to my events and, because they lived in different, countries. They've married from different cultures, and they're like, oh, this is. I was looking for a space like this to bring my spouse, my child, and so on. And then after that, I was like, hey, I got the backing of the Army.
I'm set.
Cruise control.
I feel good, yeah.
But you don't know that.
Yeah.
When you first started, and people were more worried about me getting killed. Like some of my friends were like, Muslim? Are you sure you want to put that in there? Why the word Muslim? Blah blah blah. And they had their fears.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, you gotta change. You gotta change. The narrative. There's people were getting mad about refugees. And the Syrian, refugees. And I was like, have you looked at the stats? The majority of them are doctors.
Right.
So it was great though to use the lens of art, and culture, because people would come in and say, oh, so what is this about? What is the agenda here?
A little more open to
what it is. We're just painting. I'm not trying to sell you anything, So, but and then Meetup.com was hot back then.
Are you sure you're not older than 21?
And kids are like, "What is it? Meetup?
What is that? They're Googling it right now.
What is that? Meetup.com." Well,
this is how this is how you get it going.
Travel groups would show up to the event, and they were like, "I always wanted to go to Morocco, but I'm scared." I'm like, "Don't be scared.
Yeah.
I'll teach you about Morocco."
Okay, so getting started with all of this, though, and you're reaching out to the fintech space, like, had you done that type of fundraising outreach before, or how did you even get started with that?
Just my background in accounting, and finance, and they're looking to gain clients. I have a young community, and again, and also it's a tax write-off. What do you have to lose as a company? If you give me $2,000, $3,000, and then once they see that, hey, people signed up, because they saw that you're a company that cares about the community. Oh my goodness, what a concept! Yeah. So
it's
giving back. Giving back is important.
Like, sometimes people need that boost on maybe feeling worthy enough to reach out to a company.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that you've had a company say no.
Oh, I have so many companies, so many businesses. But it's funny that no becomes a yes a few years later.
That is good to good to shout out to people.
Yeah, it's all about relationships and just maintaining them. And companies also have different programs where if an employee logs in the amount of volunteer hours they put in with an organization, that organization receives a check. Not every not-for-profit, knows and knows that, So, I've gotten checks from Grubhub. I love Grubhub. So getting, but a friend of ours was working there, Brent, Kutrowski, and when he saw what I was doing, but it's also because I built a relationship with him. I helped him with a children's charity that he was, involved in. So when I started Mala, I was like, yeah, sure. Let me help you out. Let me, write a check, So, it's all about adding value.
Let me write a check. That's what we want to hear for for these initiatives. But I mean, yeah, you said it right. I think
as long as you're adding value, you're going to get the check.
Adding value, and I think the key word you said is the relationships. I think. Personally, I think kind of the people relationships, the piece I feel very comfortable with. I am less familiar in the space of like the business relationships and and getting going there. And I know you give us some tidbits of how you do that by just basically reaching out. But what do you think is the biggest difference between like those business strategic partnerships versus kind of meeting a colleague or a person at some type of event and carrying on for there?
Yeah, I mean, I always, the individual, that I want to network with, I just look them up and see what charity, that they're supporting or whatever. Either I show up, to the event.
So research and prep we're going with again here.
It's all about that.
Coming in with a game plan.
It's all about that. But if you're coming from a place that's near and dear to someone's heart, they're going to receive you differently. And a lot of top executives are on the boards of different not-for-profits. So that's why some of the artists, that I mentor, I ask them to donate a piece to a not-for-profit's, gala. And the amount of visibility, you're not going to get money, but you're going to get a lot of, visibility. And there's going to be so many, more people that are going to learn about you, your story, your journey, and you'll get to, network.
Yeah,
and
that's key. So many people are afraid to give something away for free or like a discounted price because they're worried this is going to take away from my value or worth, but it's the visibility, it's a new relationship, it's a good gesture, all of this.
No, absolutely. I mean, I have 2 clients because of the podcast.
Yeah, I know. Do you want to give those a shout out, or will we not call them out? Really great.
Let's give them some time and see if they're happy with me a year from now, and then you know what? I'll bring them on the podcast
and to talk about it.
There you go, because I gotta get that testimonial.
Yeah. No, okay, yeah. So everything comes full circle, and I think the relationship piece, kind of even bringing it back to let's tell your story now. So the storytelling.
Yep. Big on storytelling
is going to be great.
Absolutely, and that's why I'm doing this. I enjoy it. I enjoy. Getting to know people, and it's amazing what you can learn from someone on a podcast, and it could be somebody that you've known for a long time, and it creates a digital bond. So we're connected forever through metadata.
Yeah. Yes. Okay, so I get one thing. I want one of our. We can close up soon, but one of our questions that come to mind around your just relationship building is when you enter some of these business relationships and strategic partnerships, how do you kind of get your foot in the door and then have a voice, right? Versus I'm coming in the door and I'm just going to say yes to whatever you say. Like I want to have weight in this and I want to contribute and build something together, whatever, you're proposing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it's important in the beginning to listen, observe, and then gain, the information. And once you have, that data, then you can see how you can add value. So a lot of people, look at me and are like, "Oh, you're usually quiet, or you're quiet." I'm like, "Yeah, because I'm listening." And so it's important. It's important, to do that and just be yourself. Be authentic and find a mentor. One of the things that I do is I reach out to people on LinkedIn, like, "Hey, I read something you posted, or I read an article. You're a thought leader in that space. I just want 2 minutes of your time, and I just want your advice because you're the boss in this industry." People love that. People want to feel appreciated, and once you do that, you build a relationship. And the hardest part is to be consistent with relationships. And and I pay it forward. And when you have that pay it forward mentality, you're not worried about what you're going to get back or what's the KPI or what's the ROI and blah, blah, blah. But, a lot of my accomplishments come, from people just reaching out and asking how they can help because I did something for them. And it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. When you talk about consistency, I think that's so important, not only in the business space, but also with former colleagues or former interns or, really anyone you've interacted with.
That's right.
Do you have any any tips, any specific tips on how you stay consistent? Because I think this early on in my career, I know I was guilty of just being heads down working and just kind of didn't unintentionally not focus, didn't intentionally not focus on networking or making sure I was keeping in touch with people. But I mean, there were times where maybe, oh, dang, 3 years have passed and I actually have a question for this person now, but I feel weird reaching out to them. I mean, today I'll just reach out to you. But I think, you know, I've definitely become better at like the maintaining and the nurturing just over the decades.
Yeah, some of my friends might be annoyed by this, but I tend to send a lot of reels. You know, funny ones, you know. So
there you go. There it is. There it is, guys. Reels are my love letter.
So if you receive a reel from me,
you're one of many.
That means there's so much love, you know, in there, and it's just conversation, you know, trigger, and so that's one way, you know, I do it. Part of my morning routine is just texting friends, you know, in the morning and just telling someone, hey, I appreciate you, and just little, you know, things.
I didn't get that text this morning, so.
Ouch!
I'm not sure how I feel about this.
You're gonna do me like that.
Let me get those hot seat questions out.
All right, my bot failed this morning because now I got a bot to do that.
Here it is, guys. Like this is it. This is actually.
Sorry,
this is what you need to know training. From this podcast.
A Flex bot needs a little bit more.
But
training,
there are bots and ways out there to have like automated sends across different channels. If that might be helpful in your world. Right. You should look into that. From texting to messaging on LinkedIn, I'm just saying it's out there. It might be useful.
It's all right. To
everyone that's listening that I know, all of my messages are one-on-one and not sent by a bot.
Good to know.
Okay. I mean, any closing comments you want to make on networking? Anything else you want to add? Are your palms sweaty? How has this been?
Yeah, Eminem, knees weak. No spaghetti. Since it's Black History Month, I want to share a quote from Muhammad Ali. I mean, God rest his soul, mentor from afar, and his quote that sticks with me. It says, "A service to others is the rent you pay for your room here on earth."
Perfect.
Yeah, and I think I got some good currency there.
I think so too.
It's all about that social currency, So, and my friend Dominic talked about that in his episode because he was also a restaurateur. He said, "Hey, the restaurant thing did not work out, but I've made so many friends, and I've became life rich, because I've so many great people that I met, so it's all about that."
Well, cheers to all of us and everyone listening getting life rich, because that's definitely
stay
the biggest.
Life rich.
Yes.
Yeah.
Stay life rich.
Oh my God, these T-shirts are gonna be fire.
The merch. I mean, you guys are hearing it first right now.
That's right.
It's coming. Well, I will turn the mic to you to do the closing, and you can get everybody ready for the next episode to come on season 3.
Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you for doing this, and it's a different experience when you're sitting on the other side, but it really helps me become better too at doing this, so thank you so much. Thank you for supporting me on this journey as well. And all I gotta say to the audience, is stay tuned. We're gonna continue elevating and upping our game, and you're gonna enjoy the conversations with the next guests. And obviously I talked about Sean, but there are gonna be others, and I'm just excited.
All right, that's a wrap.